Welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing Demystifying Medicare. My guest is Terri Haggard. She is a local Medicare broker in the Tulsa area, where she enjoys focusing on Medicare as a specialty. She's a premier sponsor of the Broken Arrow Senior Center and really enjoys the personal touch with her clients. Terri, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it so much. I've been so excited about this meeting this week.
Yay! Me too. Me too. Let's go over the basics of Medicare first, just so we can have an understanding of what it is. And I actually Googled it because we talked and I got a really good idea, but I thought, okay, what's the simple definition of what it is? And I found that it's federal health insurance for people who are 65 and older. And then also for those who are younger but qualify because they also qualify for Social Security benefits due to a disability or kidney failure or something like that. Is that an accurate, simple, basic description?
Absolutely. One thing to remember on the disability is they did add this year kidney dialysis, which had been blocked for a very long time. So that's something, if your viewers have kidney dialysis and they were previously rejected, they may want to check into that. So I just wanted to be sure to pipe in there with the disability portion. But yes, original Medicare is what it's recalled to. Sometimes we say red, white, and blue Medicare because the color of your card is red, white, and blue that you get in the mail. And so I try to keep everything as easy as possible. You can't even say easy without smiling. So I really want to try and make this easy. So you have Part A, which is your hospitalization, and you have Part B, which you have to sign up for, which covers basically everything under the doctor umbrella, things like doctor's visits, skilled nursing, just several things under that umbrella, but the doctor portion of it. And then you have Part D, which is the drug card, the drugs. So that's original Medicare in a nutshell. Okay. Most people do not choose to do original Medicare by itself. One, because you are required to carry a drug card, and we'll get into that later. Okay. But two, Part B has a 20% coinsurance that has no maximum to it. So whereas...
So let's hold on back up, because not everybody totally understands what coinsurance means. Is that the part that the patient has to pay out of pocket?
Yes. So Part A has a deductible, and Part B has a deductible. Okay. But there's also a 20% coinsurance with Part B. Okay. And that is what has no end, no maximum, no ceiling. And so most people do choose either one or two paths. They will either choose to do a supplement plan with original Medicare, or they will go with Advantage plans. And so really, I am of the opinion, one question I get all the time is probably the first question I get every time I get a phone call, which is, just sign me up for the best. I just want the best. Just give me the best. And I really don't approach it as somebody is the best, because what's best for you may not be best for your neighbor, may not be best for their mom. Like, everybody takes different medicines. They see different doctors. They have different needs. They have different budgets. And so it's important to find the best fit for you.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So original Medicare is A and B, because we always have this alphabet soup thing happening where, they're like, oh, A, B, C, D, and then nobody really seems to know what that is. But you just explained it really well. So A and B is the original piece.
Red, white, and blue Medicare.
Okay. And that's the one that do you get automatically enrolled in this? Do you have to sign up for this? How does that piece work?
It depends on where you are in life. So if you're drawing Social Security for disability, most of the time you will get your cards 3 months before you become eligible, and that's when your sign-up period begins, and it happens pretty automatically. When you're turning 65, a whole lot of people don't take their Social Security at 65 because, of course, it fully matures at 66. Right. So if that's the case, then you're going to have to file for Part B. It's not going to be automatic. Okay. So A should be automatic. I say should because there's always exceptions to the rule, but right. Yeah. So okay. That's kind of how that works. And then you do have people that are not retired at 65. You have people that are still getting their insurance through their job. I would say this, very important to evaluate everything at 65. That doesn't mean that your decision is going to be to move away from your job insurance, but you owe it to yourself to know what the difference is,
Okay. Yeah, that sounds smart. Make sure you checked on both. Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got that original piece. We know what A and B is. And then you mentioned Advantage. Is that C or is that something else?
So Advantage plans are Part C.
Okay.
I'm not fond of calling them that. The reason why is because the general public doesn't call them that.
Right.
The general public plans just refer to them as, sometimes they'll refer to them as supplement plans. Sometimes they'll refer to them as Advantage plans. Sometimes they will say, I just want that thing that I just want, those plans, they have some dental on them, but that's pretty much what they're referred to. So for that reason, I don't want to talk foreign language when I'm talking to my customers.
Right. So right.
Yeah, it's one of those good to know. Now shove it out of the brain.
Okay. So what is the difference? What does an Advantage plan do that the original did not?
Well, Advantage plans by law are required to cover as good as or better than original Medicare. So they will have all the benefits of standard Medicare, but they will also usually have benefits like dental, vision, over-the-counter, that sort of thing. So whereas if you buy the supplement option, the other path, you'll have to get a separate dental policy. Or vision policy. So some people enjoy the Advantage plans because it comes with a lot of those benefits. And they are also cheaper, but they have a lot more copays. So we can get into that.
Okay. So they're less expensive on the monthly payment, but they have more copays when you go to the doctor or whatever you need to do.
Yeah. They're low copays. And there's not usually a deductible involved.
Okay, so maybe not a deductible. What about that maximum? Because we talked about that out-of-pocket maximum. Do they have that?
They do.
Okay.
And so that's why even having a $0 Advantage plan with a maximum, in my opinion, is a little better than having original Medicare with no maximum. To me, the no maximum is a non-starter, but that's just me. That doesn't mean I'm going to force that opinion onto my customers, but for me, that's a non-starter.
Yeah, because then I guess you shared a story with me about someone. Will you share that with us of who wasn't continuing their treatment because they just kind of ran out of money?
Yeah. So I was working the food bank at Bixby, and they had done an interview with somebody, and they found out that she was in stage 4 cancer and was not getting her treatments.
Mm.
And when they asked her, she said, well, they want $2,000 per treatment. I can't afford that. So they brought her to me thinking maybe it's an insurance problem. So I scheduled an appointment to meet with her, and got my whole permission to contact and all that. As you know, we all have little things we have to do for
Sure.
being
Yeah.
legitimate. But anyway, so we scheduled an appointment there at the food bank. And when I came to the appointment and sat down with her, I found out that all she was carrying was original Medicare with a drug card. Original Medicare's 20% on the chemo was $2,000. Her prescription or whatever the doctor wanted her there once a week. Nobody can pay $2,000 once a week forever. You will tap out of funds. So I looked, and it happened to be the time of the year where we could pick her up an Advantage plan. So because she was very broke, couldn't do anything like, fancy like supplements or anything like that. So we did a $0 Advantage plan. I called a breast cancer place, and bottom line, we got her a scholarship for the first chemo treatment. And she hit her maximum, and we were able to take her to 100% coverage for the rest of the year. So she was able to resume her chemo treatments.
Wow.
Probably to this day, handedly the most touching thing that I've ever been a part of in my 10 years of practice, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a wonderful story. Love that. And good for you to be able to do what was needed to step in at the right time, and that you had networked enough that people knew you were the one to call. That's great.
Well, honestly, I believe the Lord brought her into my path, and I believe that it was a God thing. I don't think it was a Terri thing, but I'm profoundly grateful nonetheless, because it's given me a story that really helps solidify why original Medicare may not always be the best choice.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got the difference between original and the Advantage plans. Let's get to this drug card prescription thing. Is that Part D?
It is.
I got one right. All right. I love it. Explain
so if you want to know what is to blame for all the confusion in Medicare, you can point it right in Part D's face.
Okay. So what's the deal with Part D?
Part D is the thorn in everybody's flesh. No, I'm kidding. Part D, a lot of people are not aware of the fact that drug costs are 90% of the cost of insurance.
Wow.
I'm aware of that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And so Part D is just a standard Medicare drug card. How I choose a Part D is I ask the customer to give me their drug list. And then I go in and I ask Medicare who is the cheapest for their pharmacy and their drugs. And that's really all I do. However, you do have donut hole issues that still try to persist. So it's better than it was, but I would like to try to demystify the donut hole for you.
Yes, what is that?
Okay.
That sounds like one of those industry terms that the rest of us don't really know what that means.
Well, the donut hole is a gap that was built into the coverage to try and offset the cost of Medicare members that have extremely expensive drugs. And so how that works is this. They take the total cost of the drug. So it doesn't matter how much the pharmacy is paying or how much you're paying. So for example, let's say you have an insulin that you're paying $10 a month for. Maybe you got lucky and it's $10 a month because that's your copay.
Okay.
And let's say that insulin happens to cost $600 a month.
Okay.
Well, then somewhere around the last of the year, usually, what's going to happen is you're going to go into a hole in your coverage. Now, I don't want to get really political here, but they're thinking about making some changes again here in this direction.
I think they're always thinking about making some changes.
But we'll keep it for current. How about that?
Yeah, just go with how it is right now. Yes.
Okay. So when you go into that gap in coverage right now, the drug manufacturers are required to absorb everything other than 25%. So whereas your insulin that costs $600 a month was $10 at the beginning of the year, when you hit a 25% hole, then you have to pay 25% of the total cost of the drug. Okay. So by my calculations, that would be, just for example, let's see, what 25% would be $150.
$150, yeah.
Yeah. So that, for a senior on a fixed income, that can be a real blindside if you aren't prepared for it and you don't know it's coming. I have a lot of resources for drugs. I have prescription assistance programs. There's Medicaid, there's Insure Oklahoma, there's extra help, there's low-income subsidies. There's a ton of different things that can be applied for to try and get relief. So
is there a way to know when you're about to hit that? Like, do you know what time of year that happens?
What time of year the donut hole would hit?
Yeah, when, like, could somebody calculate at the beginning of the year, okay, I know that I'm going to use this much and here's when I'll hit that donut hole.
So 2 ways you can do that. First of all, you can have an agent like me.
Yeah, that helps.
And who can tell you to the penny what day it's going to hit. Or if you are a do-it-yourselfer type of person, then you can load your drugs into Medicare.gov, set up an account, and load them in. And when you do that, it should tell you pretty much to the penny when you're going to hit the donut hole.
Okay. So, because my financial brain is now thinking, well, if it's going to be $10 a month all the way up until October or November, and then it's going to be $150. If I took that $150 for the last couple of months and split it up, I could be saving the whole year, my extra $20 or whatever I needed to save, so that when I got to the end of the year, I'd be okay.
Yeah, you could do that.
That's messed up. But you seem like you've got other options where maybe I wouldn't even need to come out of pocket for the extra.
No, you wouldn't.
Cool.
I have a prescription resource program that covers most insulins and most asthma medicines and most heart drugs. And if you have a certain income, and it's extremely liberal, when I say extremely liberal, very liberal, then I can get it like at $20 once you hit the donut hole. Okay. So that's part of my process when I sit down with somebody, is I look at their drug list and I identify, are we going to have donut hole issues? And if we are, how can we combat that? How can we drive the price down as low as possible?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great to look at the whole picture and to plan for the entire year, not just, okay, it's open enrollment, year set, go. And then you suddenly get blindsided by something, later in the year that you weren't expecting. That's really hard. So very cool. What tips do you have for people, like as they're approaching Medicare age, or if they're not happy with what they have now, like what tips do you have?
So the tips that I have are, if you're not happy, if something went wrong, you picked the wrong plan, or you didn't know your doctor didn't take it, or whatever. I hate to sound self-serving, but please just call me. There's so much that people aren't aware of. And right now, because of COVID, FEMA, a myriad of other things, the chances are really good I can help.
Right. Now, if somebody's not in our state, what states do you cover? And then outside of that,
probably in luck, because I carry a lot of states. I carry Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma, California, and I'm fixing to pick up Kansas.
Okay. So you got a lot covered there. So that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And if they happen to be outside of that, then they need to look for someone in their area.
If they happen to be outside of that, they can still call me anyway because I happen to be in the know with some really great agents in other states.
So you can just refer them to somebody who can help them if you can't.
I will find them somebody good. If I can't help
them, I like that. You'll find them somebody good. You're like, don't just call a random person. I'll find you somebody good. So that's awesome. Okay. What about open enrollment? I know that's a thing. Are you stuck if you miss it? Like, how does that work?
So I will attempt to take you through all the different enrollment things in a year, all the different things. I would encourage, if there's anybody watching that's like, yeah, I really want to know this, get a piece of pen and paper out and just jot this down. You won't remember it. Honestly, I have to still reference it. So that's why I say there's so many things. So first of all, if you've had any changes in your life, like I don't know, move, lost your status. There's a ton of special election reasons.
So working, not working, moved to a new house,
lost coverage, left retirement plan, so many things. So those are all special reasons, but then the regular things through the year. So this is not an advertisement. I'm providing educational purposes here, but between January 1st and, hang on, let me double check that. I told you I have to sometimes reference this because they change things so much.
They do, yes, for sure.
Well, let's see here. So it's between January 1st and March 31st. Mm-hmm. And during that time, if you have an existing Medicare Advantage plan, you can make a one-time change to a different Advantage plan, or you can go back to original Medicare if you want to. During January 1st and March 31st. Okay, the next thing. January is the month where if you missed your window for Part B, January is the month to sign up for Part B, and it doesn't start until July 1st. Okay. So this is a very important month for that. Okay. And then July is when all the delayed fees start. Then you have open enrollment, the big general open enrollment, which is between October 15th and December 7th. Mm-hmm. And then also, I'd like to mention for my little under 65 babies, we're going to have a second open enrollment February 15th through May 15th because Biden has asked us to for COVID. So we're gearing up for that. So bottom line, if you're unhappy with your lot, always reach out and see if you're stuck. Another thing, if you get extra help on your drugs, if you get Medicaid, those are all year-round enrollments. So, yeah. So question on two of those things. Let's do the drugs one first. I've heard something about if you pick one, then you can't change it, or if you don't pick one, then you get charged extra. How does that work? Like you need to pick something when it starts? Yes. Even if you take 0 drugs, you are required to carry a drug card when you are on Medicare. Okay. The only exception to that is if you have credible drug coverage through somebody else, like a job or VA. Mm-hmm. Native American is also included. But if you don't get a drug card when you were supposed to, mm-hmm. you'll be socked with a 1% penalty for every month you went without it for the rest of your life. Wow. So I actually have 80-year-old customers that can't get a drug card because it would cost them almost their whole check to have it. Wow. So yeah, but now if you get extra help, they won't charge you that penalty. If you get Medicaid, they won't charge you that penalty. So there are exceptions, and then if you had credible coverage, all you have to do is prove to Social Security you had it.
Okay. Okay. So even if you're not taking prescriptions, still find out about that prescription drug card so that you don't risk being in the group that suddenly when you want it and you're 75 or something, now you're going to get charged 1% for every month you didn't have it. So, 12% a year. And just
So
keep
I would
stacking
say,
the list. Seems like a lot.
I would put a little caution here.
Yeah.
A little extra.
We'll start. All right.
I would say the vast majority of people that I see end up in this situation is because they reached out to somebody that Medicare is just an afterthought for them. It's just a thing they sell.
Not their specialty.
It's not a consultant thing for them. It's just a thing they sell.
Yeah.
Sometimes, car and home guys do that. And not all. There are some really great, car and home guys. But I'm just saying it's Medicare supplements don't require any real formal training per se. And so what I see a lot is agents that have their insurance license, they'll pick up that supplement because it's so easy to sell and it doesn't really require any effort. And they don't really educate the customer because they didn't take the training, because they don't want to take the training because it's ours.
It's ours. Yeah.
And so they genuinely didn't know they were setting up their customer for a penalty, and they didn't know they were doing this and that. So that's why I say I hate to be self-serving here, but talking to somebody that really their whole life is Medicare, is a benefit, because you can best believe we're going to talk penalties in my appointment.
Sure. Well, I think that's a perfect example, because I'm licensed to sell health insurance, but I don't, because that's not my specialty. I love the life insurance side, and I don't want, this is not my, but I have the license. So I get it that, some people just say, well, I'll just do everything I'm licensed for. But in this case, it's so detailed. It totally makes sense to find someone who loves doing Medicare. This is their specialty. This is what they really know. They go to all the extra trainings. They read all the extra stuff. They keep up on everything that's happening. And that's their main focus. So I'm always in favor of finding a specialist that does exactly what it is you want to do. I have another question for you because you mentioned Medicaid really briefly. And sometimes people just say Medicare and Medicaid, and nobody knows what the difference is between them and so forth. So we've been covering Medicare this whole time. What is Medicaid? What's it for?
Medicaid is a state-funded health insurance. When somebody qualifies for Medicaid, they get pretty much all of their costs covered if they have 100% qualification. Now, some people can qualify at 50% or things of that nature, but also most of the time they get their Part B premium paid for, which is nice. But a couple of things to know about Medicaid. First of all, I wouldn't consider myself an expert in Medicaid. I don't typically enroll people in Medicaid. Every once in a while I will, because the application is easy, but a couple of things to know about Medicaid. First of all, if you're on Medicaid prior to turning 65, say all in your 50s and 60s, you were on Medicaid for whatever reason. Say you're on disability, say you're whatever. You're going to have to go in person. Now, I know COVID, I apologize, I dropped my little thing that I play with. Anyway, but I don't know what the rules are regarding COVID right now, but I do know what the rules are. And the rules are you have to meet with somebody in person before they will give you Medicaid with Medicare.
Okay.
Again, I don't know if they changed that up.
So is qualifying for Medicaid income related?
It is very much income related. And in my state, the numbers are very, very, very low. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's basically a state-funded health insurance for those who have very low income.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. That's pretty simple. I love it. Any other tips or advice other than the main one, which is find somebody who's an expert in this that can help you when you get to the point of needing it so you can make a good decision? Anything else that we should know for sure?
So the thing to know is, I would say the appeal that I have, there's a lot of people that will be extremely prepared for Medicare. And, they're at the office a year ahead of time, getting it all lined out and everything. But I would say don't discount the ability. I see a lot of people with retirement plans that will stay on them for a long time because they think that they're losing something spectacular that they can't get back.
Is that a retirement plan you mean that they had at their previous job or
at their current job?
Previous current job. Okay.
It's true. If you let go of a retirement plan or if you drop your group insurance, you're going to lose it at least a year, if not permanently. But in my humble opinion, that's not very tragic in most circumstances. And the reason why is because employer plans will have a deductible and usually an out-of-pocket maximum that's double what is available on the individual market. So that's the person I would appeal to. Don't discount what's available on the individual market, and it doesn't cost you anything just to look, investigate, and see, compare. Don't be scared to do that because the individual market is pretty robust. So.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. Don't just figure that the one that you have that you kept from work that you're still paying for is going to be the best option. Check into the other options just in case. They might work out better.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, people that are paying $500, $800. I talked to somebody yesterday who's paying $1,600 a month for his retirement plan. We put him on a plan that cost him $145 a month. I mean, that's a lot of income.
I think there's a lot that I would like to do with $1,465 or whatever. I can find quite a few.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Terri, for all of the help.
You're certainly welcome. Thank you so much for your time and for inviting me. I do apologize about any background noises or anything like that.
It happens. It's okay. Yeah, that's the way. All good.
I am so blessed that you invited me to do this. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Terri can be reached through asktheagent.org or by calling 918-853-8445. Thank you as well to all of our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. This show is sponsored by Serenity Financial, a Five Rings financial agency specializing in financial education, living benefits, and guaranteed lifetime income. Be sure to follow MoneyHeart on social media at MoneyHeart Show and on our website, moneyheartshow.com. Terri, would you like to share today's money mantra since it was one that you use regularly?
So I took this mantra from Victory Church, my home church. I love this mantra. I'm going to try. I don't want to say the whole thing, but one sentence. I am here on purpose because I have a purpose. If there's anything that I could leave you with, you're here on purpose and God loves you.
Thank you so much, Terri.